Good to see both of you guys again, huh?
But all women
This one is being live streamed, commentated. That one is being recorded for YouTube, and the other one is being live streamed but without commentary. Unless I physically run from this place to the other laptop on the other side of the room and be like, oh yes, and he's now moved, and then run back.
I only need one.
And your champions on what's there? 7 and can I boost it or something?
Guardian Dance, Bell Call.
That's basic control.
First. The first attack. The actual.
Well, that's the Empire.
Exactly what we expected them to do. What's the worst for us?
Okay, perfect. Recorded. So there's one here that'll be live streaming, and then the other one is over there, and then the third one is with the H5 charger. So we actually have one for Oh, really? Oh, awesome. Okay. I'll make you eat something now.
I will go.
No, but that's on the right and then okay, whatever, I'm going there. You're on the my side.
Yeah.
Spray some of the purple.
The last round?
Yeah.
This seems like something you should be interested in.
The champions are defense 12 base, goes to 14 base to base, and goes to 16 with the spell. And then they have armor. 16 base. And then how many comes in? And then they have the sign with bomb, I think.
Running. You guys have picked your advantages and casters, correct? Who will we be seeing today?
We all agree. And you're not going to quit Stagger one? I'll be fine, right?
Thank you guys, good luck.
Well, good morning, good afternoon and good evening to you wherever you are. We are coming to you live from Amsterdam, giving you the fourth and final round of the ClogCon2017 team tournament between Team Ragnarok and I believe they had a overly long and convoluted name. Anyway, between essentially the Norwegian WTC team in a three-man format, going up against the combined might of and the unholy union of Ben Fusi and Patrick Dunford and Toby Nathan. So we're going to be looking at a Norway versus, I guess, Anglo-Saxon alliance, and we on this particular stream will be watching a game between Asbjorn Villes-Ruud and Toby Nathan, both of which are actually returning members to the stream, having both played on this stream at earlier points, either during the day today or during the games from the Masters event yesterday. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that all our graphics UI are up to date with the casters and the players. So in this case, we have on the right hand side the Trollbloods, as played by Toby Nathan, and they will be playing, I believe, Madrak1. Yes, we'll be seeing Madrak1 out of Toby here. That being Toby Nathan. And he is going to be going up against Asbjorn. I'm just going to say Asbjorn because his surname is hard to pronounce and I don't want to mess it up. Against Asbjorn, who just earlier on this very stream actually played his Uno 2 list to great success. So, looking at Toby. However, Asbjorn this time will not actually be bringing his Uno 2 list and will instead be playing a Baldur2 list. We will go through the players and their lists, and also taking a quick overview of the scenario in just a second. Once we have these graphics. updated for you. There we go, and we have Trollbloods to finish everything off. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick look at the scenario that the boys will be playing today. The scenario comes from the Steamroller 2017 packet. It is number 1, aka the Pit, version number 2, featuring a centrally located circular zone that can be scored by both infantry and warcasters, flanked on either side by rectangular zones on the midline of the table that can be scored by warjacks, battle engines, and warcasters. The player having on their respective right-hand side a friendly objective touching their rectangular zone on the right-hand side. The zones all being capturable for 1 control point, and the objectives being destroyable for 1 control point. A 5-point lead will end the game instantly, as will Assassination and Death Clock. So the players have now prepared their pre-deployment, having set out their deployment zones, and whilst they're just talking through their respective units and models, special rules and statistics, we are going to take a look at their armies. So Asbjorn has brought, as part of his Baldur2 list, a Wilder, a Megalith, a Feral, a Stalker, a Pureblood, and a Shadowhorn as part of his battle group. In addition to this, he has Wrong-Eye and Snapjaw, and thanks to the Call of the Wild theme force bonuses, he is able to bring the aforementioned Wilder for free, as well as a free Blackclad Wayfarer and a free unit of Shifting Stones. He also has, for the final 2 points, a unit of Swamp Gobbler Bellow Crew. Across the table from him, we have Madrak1 leading a Band of Heroes theme force consisting of a Impaler, a Bouncer, and a Swamp Troll? A Swamp Troll? Question mark? As his battle group, and a Runebearer attachment for free. He also has for free a Fellcaller and a Champion Hero. He has a Gobber Chef and a Stone Scribe Chronicler. In terms of units, he has a Min Creelstone, a max unit of Crew Warriors, a max unit of Creel Champions with Scaldi and a Sorcerer, and then he also has another unit of Max Champions and a min unit of Warders. So Toby really bringing the meat there. In this particular list, having quite a lot of damage capability in these 2 maximum units of champions, one of which is even upgraded with a Sorcerer and the and Scaldi attachment, and being able to be fairly resistant to some incidental shooting thanks to his Warders with their Shield Guard. His battle group is fairly light in terms of sheer muscle, being composed essentially of only light war beasts, but I think he brings them mainly for the very particular functionality that they have. So acting, I would imagine, in this particular army more as support pieces than actual frontline combat models. The list that Baldur2 is bringing is somewhat outnumbered in terms of sheer model count here, and we are going to see if Asbjorn has the volume of attacks here to be able to deal with this troll army. I will be very curious to see, especially what this Shadowhorn is going to be able to do. That's obviously a choice we don't see very often. So my curiosity is definitely piqued. I always enjoy watching circle lists. They are, after all, a finesse faction, and we like seeing plays and displays of skill. We like seeing plays that utilize the full capacity of the player's creativity. So we're seeing that Toby is fairly impressive in terms of the girth of his deployment zone. No doubt from probably a Theme Force bonus, which if I knew my way around Troll Theme Forces I would know, but I don't. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that he managed to get a sneaky couple of extra inches on his opponent at the start of the game by just playing trolls. And yeah, let's just leave it at that. So we have Asbjorn with the first turn, who is going to be deploying his forces right now. Some of his models are maybe a little bit dark for the camera, so I'm going to go and take a look also as Toby is deploying to check the exact position of things such as important solos and the casters themselves. So Asbjorn is deploying centrally. He's probably wanting to keep his options open. He is not going to have any real major difficulties in terms of mobility, except potentially with Megalith not being the fastest war beast in his stable. And we're going to be seeing now if Toby is going to decide potentially to push one flank particularly hard. With the weight of numbers that he has, it would seem to be in his favor to have a refused flank and pushing one of the flanking zones with a very large number of models, whilst feeding a small number of more expendable models on the weak flank, or just positioning a unit like those, potentially like those warders over there. So it looks like what we may be seeing is a refused flank in this form, whereby Toby will stack the right hand side of this assault to push through this top rectangular zone and eventually depositing a war beast somewhere here in this corner to start scoring that zone, and holding the center line here with these forces coming from the middle, and then just feeding these warders here in the bottom ever so gently to tow into this zone down here. It may even be a play to send one of these warders around this rubble and to position himself in such a way that he can take advantage of the difficult terrain and at the same time contest this zone, which should be running somewhere here. I think that could potentially be a very valuable investment of one warder, And if that particular warder were to be positioned here, then his unit leader could be positioned all the way somewhere, I don't know, maybe like over here, and then have a second warder here that he can send in a turn afterwards to contest that turn. So we are seeing a fairly stacked right flank. I'm just going to go and identify the individual units to try and draw you somewhat of a map to give you a better impression of where the models are located.
You're a good friend. My teammate would know the bar.
Okay, so having taken a closer look at the board, we have, in terms of models, we have the Wrong Eye and Snapjaw team over here, with in the top the Swamp Gobbers. We have the Shadowhorn here. And then we have the combo of the, I believe, the Feral and the Pureblood right here, with the Stalker right here, and Megalith holding this position, with a unit of stones and a Blackclad Wayfarer all the way in the bottom. The model right here is the Wilder, and now we're taking a look at Toby's army. He has deployed his army with his stone here in the middle in somewhat of a triangle formation. The stone is flanked on either side by champions. The larger unit with the Sorcerer and Scaldy being to the right hand side, the maximum unit without any attachments being on the left hand side of the stone unit. To the right, further on that side, we have the Creel Warriors making up the front rank, with a let's take a look with these front three ranks over here, with a champion hero tucked in behind this unit of champions, and the Fell Caller also positioned somewhere over here. Here in the bottom we see the Gobber Chef, and we see the Warders positioned right there, with the, I believe, the Rune Bearer being positioned back here. I believe we have covered all the individual units. There is a Stone Scribe Chronicler in there somewhere. So now, as Asbjorn is wrapping up his first turn, he's approaching the 54th minute on his clock, and we are going to be seeing how Toby's going to respond to this, because we have both the advantage of going first and a fair bit of mobility contributing towards the fact that Baldur2 has positioned himself in such a way to very strongly push this center, and it looks like we have 4 heavy warbeasts. That is correct, 4 heavy warbeasts right here, looking to make a push through either through this choke point or to block off this area right here. Toby is going to want to race past and envelop this kind of formation. He is not going to want to fight with several war beasts here against several champions here, because over time the war beasts will eventually make their way through these Trollblood champions. And I mean, the war beasts themselves will be taking significant damage if they get hit. But we are going to be, we do have a very significant table position here right now for Asbjorn, and Toby is going to have to accept the fact that as the Trollbloods player, he is going to be a lot slower than his opponent, meaning that he's not, for instance, this central piece of obstructing terrain here with the kidney shape. If you can get to this piece of terrain before your opponent can, you can essentially use it as a bunker, and you can really use it to funnel your opponents around these kinds of terrain features. So we're going to be seeing how Asbjorn does this. He is going to have to, mainly due to Toby's sheer weight of numbers, he's going to have to sandpaper this Trollblood army down, and not giving away any heavies. He can take 5 to 10 damage around potentially by exposing himself partially in order to get some very effective trades, but he can't let himself be one-rounded. And from what I recall, attempting to do so against Madrak1 is going to be difficult. The damage potential here on Toby's side is tremendous. So we're just going to see Toby's first turn here, and is looking if he can get a cheeky shot in here. It looks like you will be able to. It looks like the Shadowhorn is about to take a spear to the face potentially. Toby has handily removed the dice from the table entirely, and has unfortunately not succeeded. So now the question is Toby able to get anything else done this turn other than any potential plink damage, and how is he going to position himself with regards to Asbjorn's threat ranges? The Shadowhorn having a fairly significant threat range, if I remember correctly. I can tell you just from looking here that that this whole section of the table is not necessarily safe. Obviously, Toby wanting to utilize these more expendable Krill warriors up in the top zone to try and bait Asbjorn into overcommitting, thus potentially allowing Toby to take a heavy for relatively few casualties. And that will be I think the ideal situation here to start this game off, is to position now in such a way that Asbjorn feels confident enough to start wanting to remove Toby's infantry models, particularly the more expendable ones, in melee.
Power is 14, 13, 13.
We're just going to be looking at order. So we're just going to be, I'm just going to be checking up on some of the stats and abilities of some of the models we have going on here, just as a reference in case it comes up later on in the game. So we are looking at the right-hand side unit of champions being pushed here into this middle circular zone. He's deployed them in a nice little 3-wave configuration, which kind of gives us an indication of the engagements that he is anticipating over the coming turns. So he's probably expecting to lose these front 2 champions, and then he is hoping to retaliate against said 2 champions, which will probably be killed by a war beast positioned approximately here. He plans then to retaliate against the loss of those 2 champions with 3 champions of his own to try and trade that for 1 heavy war beast. Something is going to have to enter this area of the field in in Asbjorn's next turn, and I think that's what the Creel warriors are positioning for, to retaliate quite brutally against that and to start putting on some pressure. So I think he's just now, yeah, so we just have Toby now measuring the final position for his stone aura, covering all of the essential models approximately here. So not getting the outer section of this Creel warrior unit, but that is not really a big deal at this point right now. So we're going to be seeing Toby wrapping up his turn 1, and he has decided to largely ignore the bottom rectangular zone. So it looks like Asbjorn may be in a potential situation to be able to score this. I believe that this may be a sneaky gobber chef sent down south with the intention of contesting this zone at the very bottom edge right here, which would be unfortunate, but I believe the Blacklad Wayfarer is in a position to be able to respond to eliminate that threat. The defenders having been pulled back to screen for the max unit of champions without UA. It appears that whilst we're definitely going to be seeing a push through this part of the circular zone, but I imagine Toby estimates there to be a significant pushback in that department. So I think he's expecting to get stalled right about this line, and I think what he's hoping for is that he's going to be able to collapse this particular flank around the edge, that he's able to bunker up a little bit in this section over here to just hold on scenario, and then eventually just I think just after taking maybe 2 heavies, just pile on through onto the other side and start threatening Baldur himself, who is, I believe, positioned right here. I believe. Let me just check.
And there are all the guys.
So in terms of Warcaster placement, we do in fact have a Baldur being located right here, with a Madrak being located right here. Just to give you an overall impression of the caster locations, we are now, I think, about to begin Asbjorn's turn. And we're going to be seeing a proxy here, probably for the Stalker. Stalker is probably looking to get in a cheeky kill here. Feeling fairly confident that he's not going to get retaliated against from over here. So I'm just going to be, so we're just going to pull up the stats here for the respective casters and just take a look for some abilities that we are going to have to take into account. So let's first take a look at Madrak. Apparently I have selected. Never mind. Now we will do so in a second if we need the audience to be reminded of any particular spells or abilities. So we're going to be, I think Asbjorn is still planning, so he's still planning his turn right now. He is putting down a few proxy measurements to plot out his placements, especially with regards to this wall template, which he is going to have to utilize to its maximum effect to really be able to stem this horde of trolls which is coming his way, especially the weapon masters. So Wrexham very rightfully asking how Madrak is going to fare with the combination of the naturally high defense 14 of the war beasts in the Circle army, and the fact that he is going to have to go into a Starcross bubble whilst he's doing so. That is correct. The Mat 9 on the champions is going to go a long way towards achieving that goal. And there is a fairly significant number of champions. I think he has enough high Mat weapon master attacks in order to, at least statistically, grind his way through these Circle war beasts. The question is whether or not he's actively going to be able to do that practically. The war template that Baldur2 brings, obviously being a huge part in the defensive strategy. War templates being a royal pain in the ass for trolls, with their lack of Pathfinder and their medium bases, making it very hard to really be able to pile into a heavy ball beast in the way that you would like. However, the war can only be in one place at a time, so Asbjorn is going to have to choose. obviously this part right here, this section over here is going to be a fantastic location for the wall template, but we have a little bit of a so roughly placing the wall template in this area over here and then being able to shield a war beast behind that or two is going to be a very powerful strategy in reducing the volume of attacks that Toby is going to be able to bring to bear here. However, that means that this bottom section over here that is not protected by a wall is going to be in some problems, and if Toby decides to split his champions to go around both sides of this particular obstructing piece of terrain, he will, given long enough, be able to bring those weapon masters to bear, despite the fact that that Asbjorn has that wall template. So it is Asbjorn definitely has the tools to prevent himself from getting steamrolled, and he is going to have to very efficiently remove models from Toby's army, especially the champions, which pose, I think, the greatest threat in just sheer damage output, without suffering and without giving up the war beasts. So he should feel comfortable removing, say, 3 to 4 of the Trollblood heavy infantry per turn. So either some champions or, if necessary, warders that get in the way. And he is going to have to be satisfied with that. He's going to have to try and hold the scenario, which I think he's going to be fairly capable of doing, as long as he kind of holds a central formation in this general area of the board. If he can secure that, especially with his caster tucked away nicely behind this native wall here, he could even potentially look into a situation where we might be seeing like a double wall setup, whereby he has this native wall and the wall that he himself gets to really protect one individual model here that can be potentially screened by something over here. So we are seeing some placement from these circle war beasts. I'm not aware if the Shadow Horn has actually made any attacks. I did not recall any dice being rolled, but we are now looking at the... It's either a pure blood or a feral. I can never tell with the wolfy war beasts. All I know is that there are 2 war beasts. Okay, so I think that's the pure blood. I think the pure blood has just revealed his presence right here. He's going to be going ahead and spraying, and I think he's getting potentially 5 models here. With spray just going right here. Yeah, so we have the pure blood spray about to go in. He is just considering which attacks he wants to boost, I think. And he's just having a quick rethink through his fury management ambitions for not only this turn but next turn. So the lists, Wrexham, we are seeing are Madrak1 in the Band of Heroes theme force. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. It has 2 maximum units of champions, one of them with the full attachments of both a sorcerer and a Scaldi. It has a min unit of warders. It has a max unit of Creel warriors and a min Creel stone. He has an Impaler, Bouncer, and a Swamp Horror as his battle group. And he has a Fellcaller, a Chronicler, a Champion Hero, and a Gobber Chef for his solo support. Facing him is a Baldur2 list in the Call of the Wild theme that Asbjorn has brought, with a Megalith, a Feral, a Stalker, a Pureblood, and a Shadowhorn in terms of battle group. He has a Wrong Iron Snapjaw as well, and he has a free Blackcloud Wayfarer, a free unit of Shifting Stones, and a Bellows crew. Swamp Gobbers crew right there. So it looks like Asbjorn has decided to sacrifice this Bellows crew as a contesting piece for the mid to late game. And we're just getting a line of sight check here. I think he's just wanting to position himself to not be within a line of sight for charges. And I think he may be proxying the positioning for Baldur2 at the end of this turn. That being the white proxy base right here. So we have the Blackcloud Wayfarer, as we mentioned, might be happening earlier on, casually making his way to the right flank in order to, at a later stage in the game, probably next turn, intercept the Gobber Chef that Toby brought, and is planning on sacrificing as a contesting piece. Which means that kind of frees up this Stalker a little bit. So we're going to be seeing what he can do with this. So Asbjorn now has the challenge of trying to plug the second choke point. If he can, which he seems to be doing with the Stalker, and we're going to be seeing the Stalker going in here on these 2 lead warders. Takes out the first one, and we're going to be seeing if he's got the stones to try for the second one. But I think he. Yeah, I think he's just going to be satisfied with the 1 free water pickup, and is going to reposition himself probably just inside. It looks like this may be, he's trying to place himself beyond 3 inch. He's definitely trying to place himself outside the 9 inch threat range from these champions here, which is a very wise decision. And I think he's maintaining line of sight out of this forest so that he has the opportunity in the next turn to charge out of this forest and then retreat back into it. If he decides to do that, that could be a very effective strategy to hold that right hand side, because these trolls are going to be coming around this corner in a kind of like a 2x2 formation, and if the Stalker is able to get in there and take out 2 trolls and then sprint back to safety, if he's able to do that a couple of times in a row, then Asbjorn might be able to thin the troll herd enough to the point where he can start to pressure the scenario. So in terms of models that have been already finally positioned, we have these models over here that have finished their activations, these models over here that have finished their activations, and we are going to be interested to see how the what, for instance, Wrong Eye and Snapjaw intend to do, and also where exactly Baldur himself is going to end up. So in this particular matchup, Baldur2 is mainly going to be relying on his rock wall and his roots of earth to keep him safe. The players are just going to borrow a template for an AoE that is about to go down. So the Swamp Crew is going to go ahead and put down a smoke cloud with the, I would say, with the intention of protecting Wrong Eye and Snapjaw from the Krill Warriors. And it looks like Wrong Eye will... Snapjaw will probably just try to tuck in a position somewhere here, literally right behind the cloud. Okay, so he's going to flank, so he's not going to be contesting the zone himself. He is more orienting himself in a position to be able to countercharge. Obviously not actually countercharge, but retaliate next turn. We have the, I believe, the submerge going on there, and I believe both Wrong Eye and Snapjaw both are going to be submerged. He's just checking to see if he is going to be able to get this placement right here, but he thinks better of it and instead make sure to place himself in a position where he feels safe from the champions. Oh, wait. Oh no, he has to I think he's realized that he has to keep his star-crossed bubble in mind. So thinking once again just about the exact threat ranges that Toby's bringing. I think his main concern being that he somehow gets caught through here, or maybe through here, or through here. So he's having to balance the fact here that he wants to get as far up the table as possible in order to leverage that Star-Crossed bubble and the defense of the War Beasts. Taking a look, the positioning he has right now here, he's kind of relying on the Pure Blood and the Shadow Horn and the wall to keep him safe. And if you combine that with the cloud here, which is going to be blocking line of sight to, I would say, like this. That's, you know, even a little skewy, but at least all of these top Krill Warriors are not going to be any significant threat. So I think I think Wrong Eye and Snapjaw are safe, and we do have a feat token, but I don't I don't remember. Oh, I think he just did it. Yeah, so it appears that Baldur2 has activated last and has advanced up to this position here, and has gone ahead and feated. In this particular case, his feat being the fact that Ruth of Earth is applied to essentially his entire army. I'm not sure if there are any models that are outside of Baldur's feat. I would not think so. Potentially, maybe this one Swamp Goblin might be outside of the feat range. You know, with the Fury 6, you have to kind of be careful. But all the models that count have been featured on. Some might say that this could be an early feat. Time will tell, but I was not under the impression that that Asbjorn was going to take any outstanding amounts of damage in this following turn. I believe he might suffer a few incidental attacks in this part of the table from maybe a few champion swings, but other than that, I'm not really expecting all that much to be going on here in terms of troll damage output. I mean, all we really have here is a warder that probably can't even get range on the stalker over here. And I mean, yeah, the Swamp Goblin crew is about to eat it, but other than that, I mean, is he really worried about? I mean, what are we really looking at? Maybe like these crew warriors over here, like going through like around this wall and maybe killing the pureblood. I think maybe that might be his concern. Maybe he's worried that Toby will clear this space of champions and utilize Madrak to go in and remove two of his warbeasts. I think that would be probably the biggest threat factor here would be probably Madrak himself getting work done. So we are going to be seeing a warder go in here, and we're just checking to see if he has range. And he does have range on the Black-clad Wayfarer, who... Or, no, I believe that was a run to engage. Yeah, so we have a run to engage on the Black-clad Wayfarer. Oh no, he actually got the charge. Oh, there we go. First blood for Toby here. He cleans out the Black-clad Wayfarer that was positioned in such a way to take out the Goblin Chef that has now taken up position right behind this sign here. Just in the very bottom corner of this rectangular zone, and this is going to be this little Goblin Chef is going to be a huge pain in the ass for Asbjorn to remove, because he is going to have to commit something significant to be able to take this little guy out. So that pretty much shuts down any ideas that Asbjorn has for scoring this bottom rectangular zone, and is going to give Toby a lot of leeway in terms of being able to play it slowly and casually and not have to worry that much about losing on scenario. So we are going to, I think now, potentially go ahead and activate the first unit of champions. Yeah. So the champions are going to activate first, and they are going to, I think, position themselves. Yeah, so we have a threat to charge the Stalker next turn. Even with the difficult terrain here, these two particular champions will have no problems getting to the Stalker. And between the two of them, they may potentially just absolutely wreck this thing. So he's gone ahead and deployed to threaten this, therefore forcing the Stalker to go in and remove those two. And he is kind of, I guess, banking on the fact that the Stalker either fails to kill one of them or doesn't sprint back far enough to stay out of the threat of the second wave of champions that will go and repay the favor. Also, I believe we have a engagement arc somewhere like this of the water. So he's going to be providing a free strike to the Stalker on his attempt to remove these champions and retreat back to safety, which is the maneuver that he wants to be doing, preferably for 3 turns until he kills the entire champion unit. I mean, if the Stalker could just kill 2 expensive Troll medium infantry every turn and return to his position and maintain the zone, then he will be pretty happy. Alternatively, we may be seeing a attack followed by a sprint in this direction in order to, in a later stage, remove this goblin and return to the fight via this rubble. So now Toby is turning his attention to his right flank, so the top rectangular zone, and he is about to say hi to this Swamp Gobber crew with, I believe, 6 Creel warriors. Yeah, it looks like 6 Creel warriors. Just gonna say hey, friendly hello to the Swamp Gobber crew. And he is also looking to potentially jam, I believe, yes. So he has jammed one right in here. I'm not sure if he was able to get the charge there or whether he had to run to engage that particular model. It seems unlikely that he would have had a charge lane with this wall right here. So we're about to see some attacks rolled here. And the Swamp Gobber crew that is about to get potentially demolished here are actually fairly widely known for their surprising defensive capabilities and their knack for survival. Toby may be in a position here where Star-Crossed and high defense works in his favor, but the first dice roll goes well, and we have 3 Creel warriors on the second one, and wow, he immediately has the second attack and kills the second Swamp Gobber as well. The naturally high defense and Star-Crossed posing no obstacle. So I believe we have in fact cleared the top zone, but if I understand correctly, Toby was not able to get a warp beast into that zone. At least not yet. We currently have, in terms of war beasts, we have a bouncer over here with the impaler right there, and I am not sure where the swamp troll is. I believe it is this one right here. So there is a potential scenario for a quick run into the zone here to threaten the scenario. So we're seeing attack rolls against the pureblood here from I believe from the crew warrior. So it looks like a crew warrior did get a charge. And he's moving on now to, yeah, I believe that was the Felcaller giving charge of the trolls to the large unit of champions. Which is located right here. So very interested to see how Toby is going to place this champions unit. This is a very important unit for him in terms of the fact that it is his largest damage creator, and he's going to have to figure out a way to deal with this war, because otherwise this fairly expensive unit coming in at I believe 24 points, coming in at 24 points, this is the kind of unit that has to get work done in order to pay for itself. And if this 24-point unit can be countered by a mere wall, then that could be a very big problem for Toby here. So the champions aren't going to activate yet. I'm thinking he's going to want to position his Krillstone first. So he's thinking, yeah, so he's going to go ahead and activate the Krillstone first, making sure that the bubble is in the correct place, and also that the Krillstone models themselves don't interfere with the movement of the remaining activations. That includes the 2 champion units and Madrak himself having yet to activate. So he's just checking his aura range there. So it looks like he's not planning on moving those front 2 champions. So he's just parking his aura to just get these models right here. Which I would imagine will take these models as well, but may potentially leave these 2 champions outside the stone aura, which I would not imagine to be Toby's intention, but I think his mind is currently focused on this part of the map. I think he feels that if he can break through here, he can make it through. So they're just doing a little dice maths here about the fact that Asbjorn is undefeated. On the other table, Ben is apparently getting diced horribly once again, which is unfortunate. His dice have abandoned him pretty much all weekend. So we can only cross our fingers and hope for the best. But getting back into the action. I think Toby is about to be ready to commit here to is Warcaster's activation. Yeah, so I think so we're gonna go see Madrak activating there. And let's see what he decides to do. Okay. So Madrak is just going to maneuver ever so slightly. And is just going to be positioned right there. And Toby's now activating the champions. I'm just going to take a look at the exact positioning. So the champions unit that is now being activated by Toby has indeed got guided hand on it. So Toby is looking to do some damage here. We're going to be seeing what is first target of opportunity is most likely he's going to go against the Pureblood. So unfortunately, the dice not being in camera. Let's see if we can see the damage grid from here. Yeah, we can see the damage grid. Yeah, that's better. So we've resolved the attacks from the first champion, who appears to have done about, that is a fair number. He's looking maybe about 12 to 14 boxes of damage. The second champion out of the, wow. There we go. The Shadowhorn was just removed by, I believe, 2 Troll champions. And I believe that ends their activation, Toby having succeeded in his plan to vacate this space, which now forces Asbjorn into a situation where he has to go and plug this gap. Because if he does not, then these 3 trolls will go into here, and these 3 trolls will bring 4 other trolls that are also equally angry and have axes, and they are just going to go to town on Baldur2's army. So those champions being able to take down that Shadowhorn through Baldur2's feet is fairly impressive, and we see Toby shifting the clock now. Having done the work that he intended, the 2 major things in this particular round right here is the ability to take out the Blacklad Wayfarer here, which will enable his long-term contestation of this bottom zone, meaning he doesn't have to fear the scenario loss. He initiated his plan to threaten this particular stalker right here with his bare bones unit of warriors, and he was able to remove the Shadow Horn right here with the front 3 champions. So we have one heavy war beast down for Asbjorn. We're going to see how he responds now. 30 minutes left on the clock for both players. Asbjorn is now going to enter his 3rd turn. So now is the turn that he is going to have to make a significant dent in Toby's army, in that he needs to clear a grand total of 1, 2, 3 champions here. He needs to clear these 2 champions here. He needs to also clear this warder here at some point, although that is not necessarily a particular rush. This warder here is not an immediate threat, so could potentially be taken care of later, and he's going to have to find a way to remove some of these Creel warriors up here, or at the very least block them in some way. Oh, hello. Asbjorn is getting a little bit cheeky with the proxy of the assassination attempt to get what appears to be a stalker into this position here to kill Madrak, who appears to have 0 fury. And I believe Asbjorn is realizing that the odds of that particular assassination run are not in his favor. So he quickly abandons that plan. So let's take a look at the table from Asbjorn's perspective right now. Very literally from his perspective right now. We are literally seeing the same thing he is, and he is seeing a small army right here that is completely surrounded on all sides by axe-wielding maniacs. And he is probably trying to calculate just how many trolls he can take without exposing himself. And I fear it may not be enough. I am worried that Asbjorn is going to have difficulty with these three champions here. I think he has the capability of using the feral to kill probably 2 of these. But the temptation to use the pure blood to spray down these Creel warriors, just in terms of pure value, I think might be insurmountable. What he could potentially do is partially commit to here and to here, Wrong Eye and Snapjaw. Between the 2 of them, they should be able to take out at least this guy, and probably also this guy right here, and to be able to tie up at the very least these guys over here, leaving pretty much only this one and this one in any position to do anything. And I think between the 2 of them, they can take 2 charging Creel warriors if they have to. Alternatively, he could simply try to advance here to liberate the pure blood in order to get the juicy, what appears to be 6 troll spray right there, to clear up that northern flank, and then sending in Snapjaw potentially right here to base this champion, therefore giving him enough distance to take out these two. And then reassembling the wall somewhere here. Apologies for the awful drawing. I am freehanding this with a wireless mouse. On a tablecloth. Some of you might now be jealous to find out that I actually have a tablecloth on my table. That being one of the many luxuries being provided here at the WTC 2017, sorry, the ClogCon 2017, a WTC rematch, quote unquote. Definitely the Norwegian team looking for a chance at redemption after the drama of previous months. I think they're just looking to put it behind them and to show people that they really are some of the best players in the world. And we've seen a very strong showing from Team Ragnarok so far. Also partially on the stream, including Asbjorn himself, who showed a overwhelming performance with his Una 2 list by completely annihilating Makeda 1's entire army during his feat, after Makeda had forgotten to feed herself, thus resulting in her destruction. So we're finally going to be seeing some model activations, and I think Asbjorn really hasn't shaken this little assassination idea of his, and he may be pulling the trigger here. I think that may be premature. I don't think he is as far behind in attrition as he thinks he is. Yes, he just lost a heavy war beast, but it was just a shadow horn. No one was going to miss it, if we're being honest. And he still has enough damage capability, and he still has enough defensive tech to ride this out for another couple of turns. So he's looking to get a juicy spray here with the Pure Blood. Deciding instead to try and nail all of these champions. Now, the champions having the higher armor and the boxes may prove to be a tough target for this spray. I myself would be tempted to use the spray to clear the Krill warriors and to free up my own flanks, to really allow Wrong-Eye and Snapjaw to get stuck in combating the champions, and because I would feel fairly confident in my ability to hamstring the remaining champions over here with that wall template. And I would be perfectly happy killing 4 champions and a warder here, and taking a whole bunch of Krill warriors with me, and then just repositioning in such a way to be fairly safe from retaliation. But I think we are going to be seeing the assassination attempt going here. So it looks like one of the other games has just resolved, and I believe that the Team Ragnarok player Jarle may just have won his match against Benny, they're just looking at the table to check some things. But hands were shaken and dice were rolled. Not in that order. First the dice were rolled, then the hands were shaken. So it looks like we have at least one game resolved. The other game going on, featuring Grimkin, I believe, going into Retribution? No, not Retribution. Signal, potentially. Is still currently going on. So we are in a situation right now where Asbjorn is still in the tank and has 20 minutes left on his clock, with having now developed a 10-minute clock disadvantage, most of which he has built up in these last few minutes here, where he has just been thinking. And I don't know what he saw and how he saw it, but he has become infatuated with the notion that there is somehow an assassination vector here, and this has cost him a lot of time. I don't think that is a viable nor a necessary play. He's not behind on scenario. He's not just taken a crushing defeat on attrition. He's not been forced into a situation where he has to make desperate assassination attempt plays. So I don't see why he would spend so much time right now on considering this assassination. Now he's trying to consider the steps involved in getting the maximum value pure blood spray on these champions right here. I mean, he's hoping to just kill like 5 of them. I know he is, but because that's what we all hope for when we line up the perfect spray, and I think that's a huge trap that Toby's army actually springs on their opponent, is that there are so many juicy targets, and you always feel great about all these models that you're shooting, and you realize that they have great tremendous points value and so much damage output, and you're killing this model and you're really helping your game forward, and you're not realizing that you are giving up the table whilst you're trying to get these kills. But Asbjorn has been doing very well in countering that. He hasn't let Toby muscle him out of these zones. He is content to fight in an enclosed space over several turns, and I think that he actually does stand a chance of being able to slug it out over multiple turns, mainly if he just plays his wall just right. I mean, there are wall placements whereby he can completely block Toby's infantry from doing anything useful, and not having a landing site on the other side, and not being able to get enough range on their melee weapons. It's all completely possible. But he has to start activating models. He is overcome with analysis paralysis. He has too many, and it looks like he's just being overwhelmed by the sheer volume of targets that are facing him, and he's not seeing a way out. I think he's overestimating his opponent's capabilities of being able to chew through all of these heavy war beasts. I think that if he starts just activating simple activations, I mean this stalker activation to sure, yes, take a free strike, go in, kill 2 champions, sprint back to safety. I mean, that should almost be an autopilot muscle memory activation that Asbjorn should be doing in this situation. To just go, okay, even though I have something very complicated I have to think about in this particular section of the map, whilst I'm thinking about it, I can be activating other models on the other side of the map where I have a very clear plan that I made 2 turns ago about how I'm going to play this part of the map. If he had decided, if he had made a mental decision to say, I am going to play this Stalker right here as a platform to kill 2 champions every turn and get back to safety, he would be able to do this essentially for free on his clock time. All the time that he spent in thinking and measuring and positioning proxy models has now come to bite him in the ass. Oh, wow. So that just cut short any potential assassination plans that Asbjorn had. I'm not sure what he was trying. I think he was trying to go for the crevasse. What was that? A crevasse? Twice. That missed. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have Baldur's activation resulting in 2 crevasses that he attempted on, I believe, onto this warder right here, both of which have missed. Crevasse being the spell that allows you to make a 6-inch spray using the model that you boxed. Now, what may have been the idea here was to use the crevasse sprays to clear these 2 models here in order to free up a landing site here for what I imagine must be the Stalker. I'm not sure if what other models would be in a position to enable that assassination. If any of the viewers know what he may have been thinking, please do let me know. Otherwise, I will make sure to ask him myself after the end of the game. So we have now Baldur. Let me just check Baldur's position. Okay, so I now understand Asbjorn's dejected body language, because Baldur2 actually charged this ward right here in order to get the range and angle to crevasse this particular model here, and having failed the 2 attempts to cast the spell, he is now sitting squarely in front of a unit of Trollblood champions without any fury. So it looks like Toby here merely needs to sit back, relax, and survive the assassination attempt before he is able to counter and apply a large number of Trollblood champions to Baldur's face, which will inevitably result in an assassination victory for Toby. So the players are just measuring out the exact conditions of the spray and determining the final position of the pureblood. I believe he has reached his final position and is going to be targeting Madrak. or should I say, targeting this particular champion here in order to get range on Madrak. So we're just doing the damage rolls for the sprays now. I don't think we're going to see any casualties. So we have 4 boxes on this particular champion here. Then we have 3 boxes on this particular champion here. And we have damage rolling on Scaldy. And he survives on 1 box. He toughs. And on Madrak himself, I see a 6. I see an 8. So looking to take, so I believe we've taken 8 damage. 8 damage on Madrak? No, he missed the spray. Okay, so Toby has just shifted the clock and is currently just in the tank. He's deciding who is going to take the hit, and he is in fact going to take it. He's taking the 6 damage. He's taking the 6 damage from the spray. So the spray did indeed hit and did do damage. Toby just had to spend a little bit of time thinking about whether or not he did want to take that with his caster, and it was in fact actually 8 damage, and he has decided to take the 8 damage with Madrak, leaving him on 10 boxes. So Asbjorn is now searching for ways to finish this assassination run, which he decided to take for reasons that are not quite clear to me at this point. In my eyes, he was holding perfectly fine on scenario. He was not as far behind in attrition as things would indicate. And I definitely saw Circle being able to play another 2 rounds in this particular setup using a sandpapering approach. I think that had he focused on clearing the flank up here, killing a few warriors here, blocking them off with the wall so that at most 1 war beast is damaged, and just trying to plink away over here whilst keeping boulders safe back here, I think would have been a safer strategy. But we have the Feral now trying to make his way through the champions. He's not succeeding. So, oh, here we go. Here we go. So, we are looking at maybe a spell going down. Ooh. Spell going down here. So we have the Bone Shaker. Needing a 7 and missing it? Oh.
If he hits, then it's a tough, or I can force Megalith to...
Ah, so the base, the proxy base here, the landing site that he wanted was for the Megalith. Megalith was planning on teleporting across the building and finishing the job with one last desperate bone shaker attempt here to kill this guy. We have a concede coming from Asbjorn, meaning that Toby is the winner in this particular case. And they're just going to roll it out here to see if Megalith would have made it. And it looks like had Asbjorn been able to clear a landing spot for Megalith, then the following would happen. So let's see what the dice say. Obviously, the game is already over, and well, hello again to Frederick. It is going well. We have just seen Asbjorn, the circle player, with his Baldur2 list concede against Toby Nathan and his Madrak1 Trollblood list. They are currently just rolling out a hypothetical assassination attempt that would have occurred if... Did you make the tough roll? Yeah? Oh! So, not only did Asbjorn not succeed in clearing the landing site that he needed to get Megalith into melee with with Madrak, but when they rolled out the assassination, Madrak actually passed his tough roll, thus meaning that he would have survived the assassination attempt anyway to live another day, which is always nice to see the dice going in the way of the game as the players see it as well. So yeah, I'm just going to quickly find out what the players were thinking when they came up with their plan, and if you have any questions for the post-game analysis, just let me know.
Depends what happened. It was kind of complex. I think there was many things.
Yeah. I think don't go for that. Maybe just for time and sit out.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. Very difficult to also on the power.
So what is that?
I thought this was decent. I don't know what the are.
So basically you had to clear either this little tree warrior there.
It was like
Yeah.
So I tried to crush the tree warrior. And then I can score 3 like pass.
Yeah. And then guess how many attacks? You have one fewer.
So I choose the first one and then the gel goes. So then I buy the
So once again,
Megalith fails on the public stage. Megalith is
he failed the most.
Oh yeah, that's a very
He needs to
serious.
go back to Druid school.
Yeah. He had like 10 left.
So I need to charge to here and try to collapse this guy. And I missed the ball. And then of course you can So I have 2 shots at 8 boosted and then don't get charged because it's gonna what do I need? I need 4 plus 2.
So, as the players are just talking through the matchup, they're just talking through the maths of it all. And the assassination run that Asbjorn was going for was actually a fairly decent one, and went along the following lines. There was Madrak in this position right here with champions all over here, and he had 3 Creel stone members blocking these landing sites. What Asbjorn needed to do was kill the Creel stone warrior standing right here in order to give Megalith the ability to port in and kill Madrak1 in melee, which would actually have been a fairly reliable assassination with regards to actually getting Madrak killed, because he only had 1 transfer left with the scroll, and I believe 6 total attacks coming out of Megalith against a defense 11 Madrak, because of the debuff, would have been a very easy kill. The problem was that the only model that was in a position to remove this particular Creel Stone warrior was Baldur2 himself, who had to charge a warder in order to get line of sight to crevasse this particular Creel Stone warrior to death. Now, in that he needed boosted 8s to land this crevasse, and he probably would have auto killed or at least needed something like 3, something ridiculously low to kill the Creel Stone warrior in order to clear the hole for Megalith to land. He did this motivated mainly by the realization that he was going to run out of clock fighting his way through this wave after wave of trolls. So we have Toby, through the sheer weight of numbers and sheer damage potential of said weight of numbers, forcing Asbjorn into a position where he was able to take a fairly reliable assassination that, when it failed, resulted in instant death. Personally, I was more optimistic about Asbjorn's chances with regards to the attrition game, and I believe that may have been an assassination that would have been better if held for another turn. There was no threat to Megalith. There was a high chance that Madrak would remain in this general area, feeling very safe behind this big obstruction, and that Megalith would be able to, at some point, just port in there and beat him to a pulp. But that did not happen, because this, at the end of the day, is a dice game, and in dice games, sometimes things that are incredibly improbable do end up happening, and that's what ended up happening here, meaning that we are currently 1-1 in terms of victories for this particular finals, and we are going to take a look at the page 5 game that is still going on right now. So if you are on Twitch right now and want to see the other game, I would suggest heading over to page 5 DE Twitch stream, where they will be showing the game that is currently, I believe, still running between Kalissa and Old Witch 3, which I believe will be the deciding game of the match. We over here on this side are going to be shutting down for the night. We're going to be packing up and ensuring that your hosts are able to at least get a game in themselves. So thank you all for joining us on the stream. We are currently 1-1 in the finals of the ClogCon2017 team tournament. If you want to see the conclusion of the final game that is still currently being played, head on over to the page 5DE's Twitch stream and enjoy the rest of your evening, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in the morning when we will be streaming the Invitational. So I hope to see you all there. My name is George Busher and I have been your host, and I have greatly enjoyed being that. I hope to see you again tomorrow and many more times in future. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.